What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady.
This story's called, "Don't Lie to Me, You Took Our Picture 3 hours ago. Get to it." I don't know what it is about me, but I'm pretty good at attracting the Karen types. Cast, names changed to protect the innocent. There's me, Karen, entitled parent. Lila, hero manager. Matt, Lila's co-manager. Oscar, my manager. As mentioned in a previous post, I work for a theme park. Last year, I had just finished my shift and decided to head to the store on property to get a doll I wanted for my collection. Hey, I collect dolls and I get a sweet discount, so might as well use it. While there's nothing forbidding us from shopping/eating at our parks when we're off the clock, we're encouraged to take off our name tags and hide our distinctive IDs so we don't get harassed. I take this a step further and actually have a spare shirt that I changed into. This time, I had a blue Eeyore shirt. Other than that, I'm still wearing my blue shorts, black shoes, and my hair in a falling out bun. So I'm at the shop, holding the doll I wanted and trying to decide if I can afford a second stuffed animal when I heard a very rude, "Finally, someone to help us." I ignore it, feeling sorry for the poor employee they're addressing. That's until I feel someone staring at me like they were trying to hypnotize my back. It lasted maybe 10 to 15 seconds, not gonna lie, it felt like 10 to 15 minutes. I look over my shirt to see if someone was trying to look at the dolls so I could give them room, which was my fatal mistake. All at once, someone tosses a shirt in my face and I drop the doll I had in my hands. When I got the shirt off my face, I found myself staring at a soccer mom, complete with mom jeans, short sleeve shirts, and the "I used to be a cheerleader in high school and have never bothered to grow out of it." If entitlement was a cologne, she'd reek of it. "I need you to get me an extra large, and while you're at it, give me one of those princess dresses in my daughter's size," she said, more bellowed. Still wanting to be polite because I was at my workplace, I said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I don't work here." I pointed to someone who was dressed in the uniform and wearing the distinct name tag who was busy rearranging some stuffed animals just 10 feet away. "But, he may be able to help you." I didn't even get a chance to return to my browsing before she pointed an acrylic-tipped finger 2 inches from my face. "Don't lie to me. You took our picture 3 hours ago. Get to it." Now I'm realizing I'm treading on thin ice. Merchandise is a completely different department than photography. And therefore, I couldn't just go back and get what she wanted without getting into trouble. However, unlike the incident at the grocery store, I couldn't sass back. Since she knew who I was, even though I couldn't remember her, she could get me into a lot of trouble since I'm technically representing the company. As much as I wanted to tell her to take her mom-jeaned booty out of my park and never come back, I love my job too much to risk it. Ma'am, even if I did work here, I'm off the clock, and there are strict rules about what we can and can't do while we're off the clock. Karen cocked her head and looked like a stone teenager. "So, you're saying you won't help me make my vacation magical?" Biting my tongue. "I'm sorry, but I can't. I'll help you find an employee, but that's all I can do." Karen takes a deep breath and moves that finger closer to my face. Just when I'm about to lose my composure and bite at her hand, 2 managers, Lila and Max, walk up. "Hi, can we help you ladies?" Karen, moving her finger. "Finally! I want you to fire her right now." After getting a good look at me, "Ma'am, she doesn't work here, but I'll be happy to help." "Don't you dare protect her, young man. She took our photos 3 hours ago and won't help us get a dress and t-shirt." "I'll take care of the employee, ma'am. Matt, if you can help our customer?" "Of course." They leave, Karen giving me a "you will pay for this." Before I can even open my mouth, Lila asks in a nice voice, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm just a little shaken." I pick up the doll. "Thank you. I was just looking around when she tossed that t-shirt in my face and started bellowing." "Someone in the store saw and ran to grab us. I apologize for your experience. Would you need help with anything else?" "Thank you. I'm good. I just want to get home." "Come with me. I'll check you out." She smiles at me. "Least I can do for a fellow employee." As we're walking, "What gave it away?" "The way you were pointing. We're taught to point a certain way and never really lose it." Where do you work at? I'm a photographer and this is my home park. She perks up. Do you know Oscar? Yeah, I know he was merchandise before he joined us. You know him? He trained me. We talked for a few minutes while she checked me out and sent me on my way. The next morning, I arrived to work and sure enough, Oscar was waiting for me and asked me to see him. I agreed and went in. I understand there was an incident at the store yesterday. I took a deep breath and explained everything. Oscar listened and waited for me to finish. Just so you know, you're not in trouble. I got an email from Lila explaining what happened and how well you handled the situation. She also wanted me to make sure you were okay. I was relieved beyond belief and went about my day. The smile on my face was real. Now, every time I see Lila and Matt, I smile and greet them. Wow, this was actually insanely wholesome and I actually really freaking love it. I always love to hear stories where the manager gets the employees back and, everything works out great for the people that it deserves to work out great for. And it's kind of cool not hearing, and then the police came and smacked Karen in the face with a donkey hoof and, stuff like that. Just the good stuff. This story's called, Dude, What? So I used to work in a big orange home improvement store and did so for about 3 years. The dress code was jeans and a polo shirt with an apron over them in the company's blaring color. I have since moved on into a sales position at a different company. The dress code here is quite similar with the logo polo, jeans, and minus an apron. One day, I have to stop at the orange box to get tools to work on my house. I head in, and as I am quite familiar with the layout, I head to where this tool is on the back wall of the store. I'm not really paying attention as I go. Why would I? I don't work there anymore. A guy puts his hand out to block my path and says, "It's about time someone showed up. I've been waiting here for 15 minutes. It's a middle-aged man and his wife. Neither one of them look happy in the least. I replied with a simple yet eloquent, "Dude, what?" "I want to order a door and you're gonna help me." "I don't work here, man." "Yes, you do. You're wearing the same uniform as everyone else." He started to get pretty angry at this. So, being as I used to work at this company before, I grab the desk phone and dial the manager and simply say, "You have an angry customer by the desk." The customer is now feeling validated that he was right about me working here. "Now I'm going to get a discount because of your urine unsatisfactory attitude." I give him a quick, "Whatever, dude," and walk away. He starts yelling about how I'll be fired for this and he'll have my apron that I'm not even wearing. I get my tool and start heading towards the front, and I spot this man speaking with the manager, and he points my way and says, "There's that rude, soggy, oily biscuit right there." And now the manager is looking pretty confused because he knows I don't work there. I know I don't work there, and that I've been yelled at by some rando who is just confused and wants to be right. I walk up and state to both the manager and the rando, "I don't work here. This man was quite rude to me and I feel as though I deserve an apology." The manager starts saying sorry to me, and that's when it sinks into this guy that I actually do not work here. "Hey man, I didn't know you didn't work here. I thought you were just ignoring me." I asked him, "How could you have possibly known? Besides the fact that I'm clearly wearing a different company's logo on my shirt and have no apron in sight." The guy goes flush, grabs his wife, and walks away faster than I thought he could have towards the front doors. And that's how I got a free drywall kit. I seriously don't understand how so many people just ignore the fact that people are not wearing a uniform and just assume this random person works there. But who cares? It makes for good reading material. This story's called, "He Was Wearing Headphones." Sir, he has autism. Last night, Oscar and I were talking about the incident I had with a Karen at the local store last year and how his former coworker, Lila, saved me before the situation got worse. He had his own story to share and has granted me permission to post it here. Cast: Oscar, Joseph, Penny, George. Back before he joined the company we both work for now, Oscar was doing his rounds around the department store he worked at, talking to customers and employees and making sure everything was running smoothly. It was a slower than usual Monday, so Oscar was able to enjoy his stroll. He came upon a teenaged guest reorganizing the stuffed animals and making everything look neat, under the supervision of his mom. Oscar noticed the guest was wearing noise-canceling headphones. "Thank you so much for making everything look neat. You've got an eye for detail.
Penny, a bit embarrassed. He likes to organize and clean up as it keeps him calm when he gets overstimulated. I can get him to stop if it's being a problem. Oscar nods.
My son does the same thing, and as long as it helps him, then you're more than welcome to.
He says to Joseph.
You're doing a great job.
He left. Oscar decided to get some paperwork done when they heard a loud clattering and a cry. Oscar ran back to see this huge man who looks like he had eaten one Thanksgiving dinner too many, and his button-up shirt was about ready to burst open, standing over Joseph. Joseph had his hands over his ears, now sans headphones, and looking like a proverbial deer in headlights. The guest was pointing at him.
Now that you aren't listening to your music, are you gonna help me?
Penny walked up to him. Sir, my son is not an employee and has autism. George looks at Penny with narrowed eyes.
Don't lie, he was wearing headphones.
Realizing the situation needed to be de-escalated, Oscar walked up, customer service smile on his face, although he was seething inside.
May I help you, sir?
George notices Oscar.
Thank God you're here. You really need to tell your employees here.
Points at Joseph and Penny.
To not wear headphones on the job and to stop covering for each other. I can't believe that you hire raccoons.
Insert 7-letter insult that begins with an R, ends with an S, and is considered the best way to get your booty kicked at least 6 ways to Sunday in all 50 states. Now, the important thing to know about Oscar is this. While he's the kind of man who will give you the last dollar in his pocket if you needed it, he really doesn't take kindly to someone being treated badly, especially if it's a person with disabilities, as his younger son has autism. Oscar looks the customer down with a dad glare.
Sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to watch your language and your actions. I can verify that these are a pair of guests and that he was rearranging the shelves because he wanted to. And even if they did work here, that doesn't give you the right to harass them.
Just then, a security guard walked over, apparently attracted by the commotion. George went from tomato red to bedsheet white. Oscar turned back to Penny.
If you want to press charges, we can help you with that.
No, I think it's best if we just left.
Okay, if you think that's best.
George, now realizing that this would be the best time to leave, walked away. Oscar picked up the headphones and returned it to Joseph. Penny hugged Joseph. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. I apologize that you had to endure that. Is there anything I can do to make this situation better?
No, but we greatly appreciate it.
I'll let the staff know to watch out for that man, and if there's any problems, don't hesitate to contact us.
George never stepped foot into that store again. From then on, Joseph and Penny would come to the department store to say hello and organize the shelves every Monday, with Oscar occasionally bringing out some extra toys for Joseph to put away if he wanted. What a good guy Oscar is. Let me throw a deep cut in here. Oscar the Shark Slayer, more like Oscar the Jerk Slayer. Let me know if you get that reference. That was stupid. This story's called I'm Not an Interpreter. Literally happened earlier this morning. My roommate gets home and gets himself a shower after work. He's trying to unwind and having a conversation with me in American Sign Language. I notice he starts acting a bit off. Being epileptic myself, I start to suspect, but not sure. I ask if he's feeling alright, and he says he feels weird and suddenly full-blown seizure. This roommate does not have a history of seizures, so I immediately get my boyfriend to call 911 and ask for paramedics. Meanwhile, I'm putting on my hearing aids and getting my shoes on, as by this time I've already moved things that could hurt him away from him prior. The paramedics come. I grab the roommate's keys and drive his car to the hospital. I get there and check in as a guest, with a guest sticker to slap beautifully across my chest. I get let in and told where his room is, blah blah. If you've ever visited someone in a hospital, you know the general gist of getting to the person's room. So I'm sitting there, wearing my hearing aids, so now I could potentially have a conversation without the need for signing. But I'm signing anyway. I'm just more comfortable that way. He, in turn, signs what he can. The nurse comes in and checks on him and makes sure he's got everything he needs for the time being, making sure he's comfortable, etc. She informs him someone will be coming by from radiology. Soon enough, someone from radiology shows up with a wheelchair, helps him into the chair and carts him away. Him signing, "I'll be back," all Terminator-like. So I'm sitting there in his room, just waiting when the nurse returns to the roommate-less room. Something patient something interpreter. No thanks, a roommate doesn't need an interpreter. Wrong answer. That's apparently not what she asked. She looked more frustrated in her face, her eyebrows furrowed. Me now trying my hardest to lip read someone I can barely make anything out from. Something something another patient something sign language interpreter something 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 can't something something one patient all the time something something something. I'm not an ASL interpreter, and I don't work for the hospital. I'm here for roommate. Something something needs interpreter now something something going. I'm not exactly sure what you're trying to say. I'm deaf. I'm not an interpreter. Nurse is now getting furious, but storms off, and I'm thinking I've heard the end of it. My roommate is returned after what felt like an eternity, and we're chatting back and forth, again with sign. Apparently, the nurse had made a complaint about me as suddenly and without warning, the charge nurse is in the room, and my roommate is signing everything the charge nurse is complaining at me about. You need to get off your duff and help other patients that need a sign language interpreter. You can't be sitting here dedicating yourself to one single patient. You will be called back to this patient if he needs something important spoken to him. My roommate, calm signing, which is speaking while signing, he's not an interpreter. He's my deaf roommate. I'm interpreting what you're saying to him and trying to enjoy my conversation with him. The charge nurse goes white as a ghost, but the word deaf seems to have fallen on deaf ears. Well, can he at least help with translation so other hearing impaired patients can be treated? Again, roommate is signing everything to me. I chime in vocally. Ma'am, I'm deaf. I can't hear you. I can't make out what you're saying unless someone translates it for me. So, how would it be possible for me to translate what's being said to other deaf people currently in the hospital? I don't work here, you don't pay me, and I can't hear worth a darn to do what you're requesting. Well, you could still help out. Don't you sign interpreters have some sort of oath you have to follow? My roommate tells this woman, the mere fact that you are confusing a deaf person for a sign language interpreter and demanding a deaf person interpret language you can't hear is honestly quite freaking frightening in a hospital environment. Do you realize how terrifying that kind of crap is? Doesn't surprise me. This is the same hospital that had a nurse ask if I wanted my discharge papers in Braille. That was this hospital? By this point, the charge nurse seems to have gotten the picture and profusely apologizes to my girlfriend. Not to me though. Bench. And scampers away not to be seen again. The doctor eventually comes in and goes over the details with roommate that nothing appeared amiss in his brain scan and everything looked alright, but told him to stop taking a medication he was on. I didn't catch the name of the med. Apparently this medicine can rarely cause seizures, and today was the second day of having taken said medicine, so it made sense. Just basically, drink plenty of fluids, don't go to work the next few days so the meds clear out of your system, and get plenty of rest and make sure you're in a safe area in case of a random seizure until you're clear. I crap you not. The doctor looks directly at me and tells me I can go to another patient now. I freaking hate this hospital. If I had the spare finances to blow, I'd definitely get those various t-shirts off Amazon that read, I'm deaf, and varying degrees of that so that I can avoid crap like this again in the future. Unfreaking believable. To make matters more infuriating, this is the same doctor at the same hospital that told me deaf people can't speak. Don't get sick in small towns. You never know how idiotic hospital staff are. I drove my roommate home in his car. He protested because, you're epileptic, you could have a seizure at any time. And I said, right now so are you, but I'm medicated for it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.